Hey everyone, I wanted to talk all about why you might not be getting better from OCD. I want to talk about some of the mistakes I made on my journey to where I am today and why changing things about myself was really difficult because I was so scared I was going to lose that sense of identity that so many people are dealing with. What does this mean about me? Doesn't mean I can't have my values. Who really am I if this isn't who I am anymore? You know, because I had to change a lot about the person that I built up, this persona, this ego that I built up. That was all based around the fear of rejection. One of the number one things I believe that Freud and Jung got wrong is I think that, you know, when they talk about the id, the ego, and the superego, I think the ego is nothing more than fear of rejection, whether it's on a conscious or a subconscious level. I definitely align with the Ellis principles on that, where, you know, a lot of people think there's some egotistical force for no reason, and for the majority of those cases, obviously genetics being involved to a degree, or a large degree in certain people, that it is primarily based off this fear of rejection. So I did want to talk about that. I got my brass knuckles coffee cup. That's really hot. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you're doing any of this stuff, right? These are things that all really just kind of affected me. I really didn't know what I was going to talk about today. I was going to make a YouTube video and I have all the list of the stuff I'm going to talk about. But sometimes I just feel like I wanted to throw the camera on and just kind of talk to you guys about all the mistakes I made. I think that's really important. It gets a little bit more personal in my story. So one of the first things I had to change was the amount I was lying. I think that's really important. Oh, before I go any further, remember Phil at OCDRecovery.com. If you've never seen our content before, we answer in a very timely fashion. So I lied a lot. I was definitely a compulsive liar. I think many people are compulsive liars. And I think a lot of people believe that compulsive lying comes from nothing. And I don't agree with that for the majority of the cases. I think that a lot of the compulsive lying is coming from fear of rejection, fear of looking stupid, fear of not looking good, and all the other failure aspects to it. So that was a big thing for me. So I lied a lot. I lied about everything from schoolwork to the amount of women I slept with, to my accolades in school, like I was saying in the previous video. I lied to my wife a lot because I just didn't want to be bothered with the responsibilities of marriage. And all those things really didn't lead to a healthier life. They led to a life that was spiraling out of control in many ways when my OCD was becoming extremely chronic. So I definitely had to change that. And again, when you're doing your disputing homework or when you're looking at the reasons on why you lie, really take a deeper look at the rejection fears that a lot of people deal with. So I'm going to make a list of this stuff. That way I can kind of keep that stuff in order. So lying was definitely a big thing I did. Now humans are going to lie regardless, you know. I'll give you an example. Let's say me and my wife go out to a ball. She comes down and she's like, do you think this looks good on me? And maybe I don't like the dress. I mean, many people might be like, hey, look, you look fat. I don't like the dress. But that's probably not the best option for many people. You could say it in a nicer tone, in a nicer way, even if you're thinking a certain thing. So there's a lot of myths out there, especially from the existential crowd. I believe the individuals who I follow. Again, I don't really like to drop a lot of names, but I will. And again, I love Jordan Peterson. I've read all of his books. I think he's amazing. I listen to many of his talks. I've learned a lot from him. But I think his concepts on lying are very black and white. It's why I always talk about why he suffers so much with chronic guilt. A, I think he takes life way too seriously. B, I think he has really strong conditional self and life beliefs, which perpetuate guilt. Jordan Peterson's guilt's not coming from anywhere. It's coming from the lying factor. Humans should never lie. And he uses those really big words such as the atrocious, hellish landscape of lying. And it's not necessary. And it really creates a false reality. It's just a lie. It's nothing more, nothing less. Humans lie all the time. Whether you agree with it or not, it's really not that serious, although it's probably not the best behavior for you. So I had to change a lot of my lying. Something else you could be doing, which really affected me, is jumping around. And when I mean jumping around, that could be switching medications. That's a big one for a lot of people. So going up and down their medication dosages, jumping around from Google to venting. A lot of people that come into OCD recovery will get our numbers in the WhatsApp group, and then they're messaging Momin, they're messaging Rob, they're messaging me. They're going back and forth and just kind of jumping around in circles. And that's not really a good thing because they're looking for certainty. They're jumping around in relationships. I'm not here whether to tell you I agree or disagree with relationship jumping or one-night stands. I don't think one-night stands are inherently bad. Good or bad. I don't think getting married is inherently good or bad. There's pros and cons to every situation. And once you start holding really strong black and white beliefs, even off your personal values, in my opinion, off particular topics, you really get yourself into trouble. I have particular values that I hold. That's the next thing I'm going to talk about. But, let's stick on the jumping around. That's all based on urges. So when you get these urges to jump around, you're going to falter and you're going to fail, and you're going to give into those urges a lot. And as time goes on, you learn more about that and you stop that. So the urges were definitely a big thing. The next thing I had to look at was my values. Now, I never needed to change my values to get to where I am today. I could have never gotten married and just, did one night stands and worked myself to death. And, because I get stuff all the time from family members, such as, you're not going to think about work on your deathbed. All these statements that people say that really don't have any context. People say things, and what they believe is these things have some sort of validity, right? I always tell people, most things in this life, even universal laws such as gravity, something that's very repeatable, everything is up to interpretation, even death. Are we dead right now? Are we already in a vacuum? Am I a simulation? Or all of you a simulation to me? Am I in a dream space like the movie Inception? So you don't need to change your values, and this is the biggest problem. People believe that you have to change your values in order to recover from OCD. You don't. You have to decrease the rigidity of how you hold those values. The way how you hold those values are what's getting you into trouble, and what got me into trouble for a really, really long time. So it's something I really had to look at. The values I hold now, I think the values, I value hard work, determination, and grit. I value trying not to lie a whole lot. I value challenging my body physically and mentally through reading and hiking big 14,000-foot mountains here in Colorado, which everyone knows I love to do, especially in the winter. I think it's a huge challenge. I like to push myself in working hours. I like to push myself with becoming more romantic with my wife, since I'm not really a fan of that. It's not that I'm not a fan of it. It just doesn't come that naturally to me, which doesn't mean I can't work on it. So showing more affection to my wife, which I think is really important, not just like during times of intimacy or sex, which I think a lot of men can fall into, and women. So meeting her halfway in the road. Not living my life based on expectations of feelings is one value I really have. And I value my family, and I just value experiences and working hard. And it's really the main thing. Now, I used to hold those against other people, to put people down, to make myself feel better about myself. I understand when people talk shit to people. I understand why people are mean to people. I understand why people call people fat or make fun of them or call them stupid, because that's all I did. And that all came from my own fear-based insecurities. Now, a lot of people get halfway right on this. They say, when you judge someone, it's based off your own insecurities, but that's not actually enough. It's you need more depth than that, and that comes from the fear of rejection. And once you break down the fear of rejection more, that tends to lift and lift. So what else did I have to work on? That was really a big problem. My anger, right? So a lot of people think that anger is perpetuated off what's called A plus B. So activating events equals consequences, right? So that person made me mad. So in order to get myself to where I am today, I had to really shape my beliefs a little bit more and realize that no one's directly making me mad. Okay, this is a really important thing to talk about. I was primarily making myself mad. Now, this is a skill I think that's very important for life. Nobody really offends you. Words can't really hurt you once you understand the concepts that words can't hurt you. Someone could call me a fat loser, scumbag, piece of shit, degenerate, ugly, bloated, loser, ugly wife, all sorts of stuff. That doesn't give me a response anymore, because I've realized that humans are allowed to say what they want. This idea out there in the culture right now, especially American culture, Westernized culture, that people need to respect you. It's simply not true. No one has to respect you. Most people don't care about you. If you died tomorrow, most people would forget in a week. So it's really important to realize that. And even after a while, your family members don't really think about you that much. My father died 5.5 years ago. I don't think about my father every day. Sometimes I go months without thinking about my dad. And then I see the tattoo on my arm and I'm like, oh man, reminisce. So even the closest people to you, not everyone's going to miss you forever, in the sense where they're thinking about you every single day. Just part of life. That's just how it goes. So, so I know I got a little bit off track there, but I thought there were some important insights in that. So, but I did really have to work on the belief that other people were making me angry. I had to remember I primarily angered myself. Patience. Patience really goes into everything we just talked about. So it goes into not lying. It goes into not jumping around and wearing merges. It goes into living by the values that I want to live, but not needing to hold those values so rigidly, et cetera, et cetera. And those are the things that really helped change my life. it's not that I wasn't proud of who I was. I just was who I was. I was someone that had a cheating problem. I was someone that's had a lying problem. I'm someone that had a rushing everything in my life problem. I didn't really take my time. I never proofread anything. I never read books until I was like 27. So I've only been reading for like 5 years. And I fell in love with reading. I've read a lot. I really, really enjoy reading. I just was someone that, I just over the course of my journey, I just had these little perspective shifts of thinking I don't want to be like this person anymore. And what can I do to change that? I think something that's really helped me in my own world is, I know this sounds maybe cynical to some people, but I look at other people and say, what are those people doing that they should be doing that would benefit their lives? And then I do that. It's what's made me it's what's helped me so much in my career. Being a business owner is a lot of people are about the 3-4 hour work week, and even all the way down to Tim Ferriss, the 4 hour work week, which I think is all good and fun, and it's minimalism has great perspectives, and I think they have some good points, but that's not the life I want to live. I want to grind, I want to work long hours, and I might change my mind on that. I enjoy working 12 to 15 hours a day, 6 days in a row. I thoroughly enjoy that. That doesn't mean I'm not stressed. It doesn't mean I don't get upset or even bursts of anger at sometimes. Because that life is not for everyone, but that's the life I want to live. But everyone's going to be telling you how to live your own life or telling you how to live your life, and you just got to accept that people are going to give you unsolicited opinions, and it's not the end of the world. People are allowed to say to us whatever they want. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I do enjoy these more personal videos. If you have any questions or anything you want to ask me, please ask in the questions below or comments. I always go through, and hope to see you in the webinars and coaching services. Always remember Phil at OCDRecovery.com, and we'll get back to you in timely fashion. Thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.